shall never be in vain. So shall we fight and man, one day we shall find freedom, peace and unity.
See, they have shot so many people.
When a contingent of now nameless young Nigerians who stood their ground peacefully at the Lekki toll gate were shot at and killed by Nigerian soldiers on the 20th of October 2020, so many people were convinced that the event would mark a paradigm shift in the political attitude of the largest black nation in the world. But for keen observers of the Nigerian condition, even in those very passionate weeks of NSAS protests, the cracks had started to show, and some feared that those poor young martyrs had indeed paid the ultimate price in vain, and that despite the theatrics of those protest weeks, everyone, oppressive government officials and restless protesters alike, would soon return to business as usual. I was skeptical at the time, and I was deeply hurt and affected by the notion that dozens of people who shared a passion for their country so strong that they were willing to pay that ultimate price had in fact been conned by their fellow countrymen and women, young and old. Fast forward to 2022, and Nigeria's main political parties have selected their flag bearers for what may well be the most defining general elections yet for this fledgling democracy. For the ruling party, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a septuagenarian political phenom who appears so visibly to be in poor health and saddled with drug trafficking indictments dating back to the late 80s and 90s. His deafening silence and outright denial of that massacre in Lekki is seen by many as complicity and an outright betrayal of the people. The main opposition party, the PDP, passed up on a fresh-faced, vibrant and competent aspirant and opted instead to present their old reliable in Atiku Abubakar, another 70-something-year-old man and ex-vice president with questionable sources of wealth, who, having contested and lost on multiple occasions, is seen by many as the breathing embodiment of that old and irredeemably corrupt political order that must soon leave the stage. Finally, there are the so-called third force candidates, comprising of accomplished technocrats and administrators who have used past opportunities in government and business to demonstrate a considerable deal of competence. That crop is personified by the popular Labour Party candidate, whose name seems to be on everyone's lips.
Who do you say?
Peter Obi.
My own candidate is Peter Obi. Yes, I'm going to vote for him.
Like this Peter Obi, they're very young. They ain't supposed to go on.
Whether it's Obi or anybody, but we just need somebody who brings the nation back to its glory days.
So the only person I've seen here that really gives us a clear picture of what he wants to do is Peter Obi, and I think that's the person I would like to vote for.
Always the man. Peter Obi is always the man. Go everywhere, Peter Obi is the man.
For Nigeria's 200 million people, most of whom are under the age of 40, it seems like a no-brainer. But nothing is ever so straightforward in this very complicated and deeply divided country.
Honesty and sincerity, the experience has been awful because I've been here since around 6 a.m. and up to now I've not, I've only filled the form, I've got the number, filled my phone, and even to submit my biodata up to now, I haven't been able to, it wasn't successful till now, and we are still piled up. Over, I guess the crowd here is over 1,000, so the experience is awful compared to the last elections.
Did you vote in the last election?
Actually, I didn't, because I didn't get my voters card in the last election. So that's why I make it as a priority to make sure, irrespective of whatever happens, I must get my voters card this period.
The process so far is very poor. I will say this because this is supposed to be maybe throughout this year, so that people will come not less than 5 minutes. Somebody will finish, go back to his business or go back to his place of work. But look at, I was here around 8 o'clock, and some people said they were here 4 o'clock. You can imagine and see the time now. We are still hanging and nobody cares.
Process here is very poor.
Very, very poor.
You say you want to move back here. Although it's sunny, that's what we are saying. Although it's sunny, no vex.
Please shift back or shift back.
I took to the streets to gauge the pulse of this seemingly young and fed up electorate, to hear from them what they really want as far as leadership in Nigeria is concerned, and what, if anything, they are prepared to do about it.
Have you gotten your PVC?
I'm working on it.
Working on it?
Yeah.
Okay, and what challenges are you currently facing with getting it?
You know, the way the things is going and the country is like falling apart, and it's not encouraging me to do it.
It's all about prayer because I think it's all about God. So we want God to bring the one that will understand other people's feelings, and the one that will, in short, that will do the right thing.
No, people don't die finish. Oh. Yes. Like this Peter will be there very young. They ain't supposed to go on. Well, not like person don't work tomorrow hospital, next tomorrow hospital. We not like that one.
Is there a reason you haven't gotten yours yet?
I'm actually busy, that's why.
What are you hoping will be the outcome of the next election then?
I think it's going to be okay. It's going to be great for it. I don't know.
Who would you like to win?
Can't see. Can't see. Sorry.
We just go for free and fair election. Anything short than free and fair election, there's nothing. It's better we get it right this time around. All youth, I'm encouraging every youth to go and get a PVC. We don't have our say if we don't have our PVC. So we'll vote the right person in.
Thank you very much.
Anybody that God says you will win, anybody, we need the rightful person in this country. We need the person that will make this our country to change.
Madam, we give them food first.
Yes.
Have you registered for a PVC?
Yeah, I have. She's not up to age yet. We're hoping Peter Obi wins.
Interesting.
I'm hoping Peter Obi wins. I'm sure that's like almost everybody's wish. Why? He's the future, obviously, and he's the best candidate amongst the ones we already know.
No, I've not registered, though I've had series of advice from my friends and colleagues that I should go for my PVC, but I don't have interest in politics. The only time I remember voting was during my NYSC.
The statement I just want to make is that, it's going to the general public. But if you are listening to this and you know that you don't have a job in this country, or you don't have a business, you don't have a steady source of income, you have a job, but the job you earn below 100K, you don't live in a good apartment, you don't have any stable source of income, your children don't go to good school, and you are not planning to vote, or you are not planning to vote for the right candidate, I think you lack wisdom. Let me just put it in that way.
Let us briefly consider that voter participation in the last 5 general elections, or 20 years if you will, has been as follows. In 2003, the voting age population was 64 million. The total number of registered voters was 60 million, and the final turnout was 42 million, which represented about 65% of the registered voters. Since then, voter turnout has been on a steady decline. 57% in 2007, 53% in 2011, 43% in 2015, and finally hitting a record low of 34% in 2019, lower even than the 35% recorded in the presidential elections in 1979. At the time of this recording, INEC has registered a little over 96 million voters, a significant 12 million more than what we had in 2019. But registration is only half the task though. If we truly wish to reverse the apathetic trend that has been recorded over the last 5 general elections, then we need to force a dramatic change in the percentage of registered voters who do end up voting. If Nigerians manage to get it right in 2023, then we can begin to project a way out of the economic and socio-political nightmare that the country has so violently plunged into, especially over the last 8 years. The IMF has warned that due to the mind-boggling rate of borrowing by this outgoing government, the next one will have to spend 100% of the national budget on debt financing alone. We simply can no longer afford business as usual, and one can only hope that for the sake of millions of children for whom the bells toll in this country, the pessimists are forced to eat their words when election results are announced come March 2023.
Who they speak? Who sabi speak? You they speak, Abi?
Yes.
Okay, good, very good. So you know the election is coming, Abi? You know election is coming next year. Election.
What is the election?
Is everything the election?
Yes.
Election now when we go choose who be president. When we choose who will be the president.
I don't have this one.
You say you don't choose Buhari again?
Yeah.
Who you go want make him be president next time?
Now, if he don't want it.
You